Not well convinced, however, that this was the right proceedings and judgment given to him by the court. But however, is maybe appealing because there's room for him to appeal on the incidences of those nature. We'll take a deliberations of that. Of course, the journalists will be joining us to dissect some of these issues and give us a better understanding about what is playing out in the United States of America. Away from that, we'll also be taking a look at the fact that President Bola Tinubu has called on state government to prioritize the needs of local communities by ensuring accountability and effectiveness in the administration of local government. He made these remarks on Thursday, yesterday, during a meeting with the leadership of Arewa Consultative Forum at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. In his address, President Tinubu emphasized the importance of local governance in the constitutional democracy. That will also form part of the discussion on the program, The Desk, today. As you just have to very stay close to your TV, we'll be bringing some of this discussion, and our guests will be joining to give us an insight on the presidency appealing to governors to come together to grant local government autonomy. They have already signed this law. What happens is some state governors are not cooperating with the federal government to grant this autonomy, where funds can be sent directly from the federal government down to the 774 local government areas we have in the country. These were also top chart of a discussion today on the program. Away from that, in the southeastern part of this country, there is an issue where yesterday the IPOB had launched attack on the personnel again, or the military personnel again, which they've already confirmed five of them have lost their life in the course of this attack carried out by some IPOB members. And now the Armed Forces of Nigeria has mourned the date of these 5 personnel of operation killed in the action by terrorists of IPOB while on deployment at the Obia-Okabia Junction, the checkpoint in Obinwa local government area adjoining Aba Metropolis in Abia State. They said that each and every soldier lost in battle is a terrible loss. This is what is coming from the Air Force today, reacting to the loss of life of the personnel. And 6 civilians were also killed in the crossfire. This is the Director of the Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, made this known today at the investigation, saying that investigation is ongoing regarding the attack. We'll also take a look at that issue and what may be playing out and what are the governors of the Southeast doing regarding some of the rises of IPOB. The sit at home is still on in the Southeast, and these are the issues that have not been addressed even when their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, is still on the custody of the DSS. What happened to the fact that this is challenging, this is posting a lot of challenge to businesses, economic, and even education, as we've also been reported that some students are still held captive who went to write the examinations due to this crisis that rocked that village within Abia State. So we'll take a look at that clash between the IPOB and the members of the Nigerian military and what may be the way out of all of these issues on the program, The Desk. We'll go on a quick video right now. Once we return, we'll be making further discussions on the program. Just stay with us. And of course, stop on the foreign scene, the United States court in the verdict of Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States of America. He reacted to the court's ruling, and let's take a look at what his response looked like and some of these issues that we may be addressing. But before we get to proceed on that, let me say that Fatih Hamid, a journalist with the Punch newspaper, joins us virtually for the purpose of this discussion on The Desk. Good to have you join us on the program.
Yeah,
all right, so for now, we'll take a look at what President Trump, former President Trump, his reaction to the ruling of the court yesterday on some of the count charges given to him. Let's take a look at what he said.
This was a disgrace. This was
was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now, from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
It's the reaction of the former United States president in that ruling. I mean, there are also incidents where some persons said that this is a weaponization of the judicial and system in the country, and Trump is not accepting that ruling. But does it be the fact that this is also in a bid to tackle him in the forthcoming U.S. election? Let me get my guests to join us to make contributions, fantastic contributions on that very issue. Good to have you join us on the program once again, Mr. Aliman.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
All right, you fully what is happening in the United States. I mean, Donald Trump is actually sitting on the loggerhead with the courts. I mean, this is the first time U.S. president may be given such count. To you, do you feel that this is an attack on his political journey as he's, making plans for the next election?
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe what has happened with Trump, with the ruling from the court, is a blatant attack on his person due to the agenda for the U.S. presidential election that is coming up. I really do not think that a mistake supposedly is enough to convict a U.S. president. And at the end of the day, I personally, or rather I strongly think that this will be another means for him to even emerge, as U.S. president, because obviously this is something that can be seen. We are not dumb, and a lot of people, Americans, are not people who are oblivious to all of these facts, and they can also see what is playing out. They know that this is the weaponizing the judiciary system to attack the personality of Mr. Donald Trump, and I believe that this would also be one of the reasons that will see him win the presidential election. Well, let's see how it goes. Americans and American ways, and sometimes things tend to happen, and they tend to be a shocking development sometimes. But I believe strongly that this will also aid Trump's presidential bid as the president of the United States.
All right, we are still counting to look at the days. July has already been proposed to make further deliberations on that case. So we'll take a look at some of the charges against Donald Trump. Away from that issues, let's take a look at President Bola Tinubu has called on state government to prioritize the needs of local communities by ensuring accountability and effectiveness in the administration of local government. He made these remarks yesterday during a meeting with the leadership of Arewa Consultative Forum at the Presidential Villa. In his address, Tinubu emphasized the importance of local governance in a constitutional democracy And of course, it has been the fact that the president is advocating for the local autonomy for states to make corporations to what he calls granting local autonomy to the local government so that funds from the federal government can get directly to the grassroots. For him, it means that if funds get directly to the local government, some of these issues, insecurity, educational crisis in some of the locality will be well addressed and managed by the local government administration. Let's take a look at what Tinubu said yesterday, confirming from his very lips.
Dear brothers and sisters, yes, I am in charge here today, but you are running a constitutional democracy. I will put to you to summon the governors. Summon them, call them up. I'm doing my best to improve the revenue of the country and giving them their dues. But they must equally be sympathetic to the populace, and they must consider the need of the local people. People reside in the local government. People are in the local community. That is where they reside. That is where they feed. That is where they garden. That is where they cook. That's where they farm. If the local government are not free, and leaders don't hang on to the number. We have 774 local government. It's just a number. Is it effective? Is it reaching the real people? Who is being held accountable for this money? Maybe we should look and recalibrate one version that was good.
And that's the reaction of the president trying to, convince the rural communities to go talk to their governors, because according to him, some of the crises we are having in the northern part of this country, not just in the north, has to be local, and issues must be dealt with locally. To you, do you feel that some state governors are fighting this probably due to their political interests, where they want to hold local government hostage and then control their funds so that they can actually use this for some political differences in their respective state?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it is long overdue as a country for us to have the autonomy for the local government. If we want to talk about the real governance, if we want to talk about effecting or making politics for the people, then we have to prioritize our local government and ensure that the local governments are not dependent on the state. If states are dependent on the federal government to start with, then there will be a problem. The state will not be able to function as it should be able to. We have this, as the president said, this is a democracy, and we have constitutions. Nigeria is separated into three. We have the federal, the state, and the local government, which is three separate for the government in Nigeria. If the local government is not independent on its own, then we will not be able to serve the people. Look at instances that we've had with states clashing with local government. We have a recent one in Ogun State where local government chairmen were almost prostrating to the governor, and the one who refused to do that was somehow taken out of office because the local governments are dependent on the state government for their existence. In fact, some state governors will decide not to hold local government election, but I appreciate the federal government. They are taking the bull by its horn. The issue was taken to the Supreme Court last week, I believe, and I really do hope that the federal government wins this case against the state governors. Yes, it has to happen, because if this does not happen, we are not going to get there as a nation. The state government has to free the local government and let them work and let them effectively work so that they can get to the people. As the president said, the local farmers, the local plumbers, the local artisans are the ones that need the palliative from the government. They are the ones that need funds. Since 2023, when President Tinubu became president, when the subsidy was removed in Nigeria, FAAC has been disbursing money to state governments. Now, the monies that are meant to go to local governments are not even getting there. So that's the problem. The local roads in the areas are not being maintained. You work on the areas in some road. I was in Ibadan some few days ago. I was saying this is demeaning. We have roads where we have a very large potholes that can risk the lives of Nigerians. It is because our local government system is not working. If our local government system is working, these things will not be there. We will be able to function adequately. We will be able to function perfectly, and we will be able to get governance to the people that truly need governance. We cannot continue like this. It is high time the local government take back power from the state government, be responsible for their own people, and ensure that the true governance gets back to Nigerians who are desperately in need of governance. Thank you very much.
All right. I mean, are you also bothered and worried about the institutional of government? We've seen how some state commissioners and state governors themselves embezzle some of the funds at their disposal. And now we want to grant some of these funds to get to the hands of the local government chairman. Are you worried about, these are the politicians. I mean, for you to be elected as the local government chairman, it means that you have been in the politics and you are a politician by default. And then what happens to the fact that we've been seeing this issue of embezzlement in the state? EFCC are yet to even apprehend some of those who are those culprits. I mean, those who are behind some of these corruptions in the state. Now that you want to grant autonomy to the local government, are you worried that if the institutional of government in the country is not well beefed up, if it's not well injected with good leadership, I mean, where persons can be feared to go into such dealings in their respective state or local government, then we'll also have this issue of high embezzlement by local government chairman. We'll wake up one day and to hear that local government's allocation have been embezzled by a local government chairman. I mean, it has never been a new thing in the state. So are you more concerned about that issue? And there's a need for us to empower the institution of government, anti-corruption institutions to tackle preparations of having state local governments operations.
Absolutely concerned, about that as well. But that is why journalists are there. That's why media organizations are there. That is why we have a lot of organizations. We have Follow the Money. We have quite a lot of organizations who track governmental projects across states in Nigeria. They will be able to follow up on a lot of these projects. But first, let us get this autonomy back to the local government. Let us give it back to them. Why? Because if we do not do this at this point in time, then we are risking a lot of illegalities continue to thrive in our states. Yes, there is fear that local government chairmen can decide to embezzle local government funds. This is also a problem, but we are definitely going to get there. That is the truth. But however, we have to get there by first allowing them to work on their own. And another thing is that the people will be able to know who to hold responsible. The local government chairman is very close to the people. He's close to the locals. He understands the terrain much more than we as a normal person, or how they are going to hold the governor, for example, accountable. They can't just easily get access to the governor, but they can easily get access to the local government chairman because this person is resident in their environment. They are together. They've known themselves. They've grown together over the years. They know who this person is. And they know that this person is getting a certain amount of money monthly from the federal government. So if the person is not doing the work that is necessary, then the people will be able to call them to power. That, hey guys, come here. You are not doing what is expected of you as a local government chairman. Then the work of even journalists will become easier to be able to track because people will be involved. People will be able to ask the right questions. People will be able to say, oh, come here. What you are doing is not right. We are not getting delivery on what you are getting from the federal government as an allocation. So this is progressive for me. And I think that we have to look at much more of the advantage than we are going to look at more of the disadvantage. And on that disadvantage part, I'm very sure that journalists are there to ensure that we call out local governments who are not doing what is expected of them as far as local government allocations are concerned. Thank you very much.
All right. I mean, lastly on the issue, some persons are also arguing that this may also be because of political interest, where we understand the fact that in some state, the ruling party takes, almost all the local government seats when it has to do with election. I mean, if they are conducting election if the state independent electoral body are conducting elections, we often find a particular ruling party sweeping all their local government for themselves. So now that the presidency is advocating for local government autonomy, for them to be able to stand on themselves, and for INEC, I think, to directly conduct their election. Are you also worried about that? The federal government also wants a situation where state ruling party may not have, position of the local government themselves, where they can also have it for their political interests. Do you feel that there's a bit of political undertone in this move? And how can we strike a balance that once this is being granted, we will not find police coming into local government, to barricade or to disrupt electoral processes, and also letting the dividends of democracy, to transcend in their respective local government areas?
I do not believe that there's a political undertone, sincerely. Why? Because when you look at the situations that we have in Nigeria today, you realize that Nigerians need power to get to those who are responsible for giving them direct taste of the benefit of democracy. Do you understand? Now, there is a political undertone in almost everything that is being done in Nigeria. Do you understand? There's absolutely political undertone everywhere. So, because of this situation that we have, that everything is almost politicized, right? It gives us another opportunity to explore different options, because it doesn't really make sense for me that it's the ruling party in a state that is responsible for the amount of seats that we have in the local government that cuts across the state. That doesn't show much more democracy for me, sincerely. So I believe that the states, or each state in Nigeria, has to be able to give power to the people. If you look at what we've had over the years, a lot of persons have complained over time that state governors are the ones who manipulate local government election results to the interest of their own party. So this is not democracy for me. So when we have a situation whereby the local government election will be conducted by INEC, and this will also give chance for democracy to thrive more than the dictatorship kind of governance that we've had in our state over the years, whereby it is the state governors that decide who the next local government chairman will be. When we have different political parties being the ones responsible for for different local government across the state, then we'll be able to have the true benefits of democracy. Why? Because there will be competition amongst these people. They would want to do better than one another. They will also be able to push their agenda for their parties. So when competition is in place, then people get to benefit much more than we've had over the years. So I think this is a move in the right direction. And whatever idea of politics that is behind it, it is definitely going to be at the benefit of Nigerians and not at the detriment of Nigerians. Thank you.
All right, absolutely. Many thanks for that thought and contribution. Let's move away from that issue to the sit-at-home IPOB attack yesterday. I mean, the armed forces have reacted towards that incident, where they have confirmed 5 personnel who were killed in action by terrorists of IPOB while on deployment at Obia Junction, the checkpoint in Obingwa local government areas adjoining Aba Metropolis in Abia State. They said that each and every soldier lost in battle is a terrible loss. I mean, this is a word coming from the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, while speaking to journalists earlier today and confirming the attack. I mean, there has been several issues of IPOB. I think many persons were feeling that because their leader is in the custody of DSS, some of these issues wouldn't have still made it again to, as sad hand as it is right now, and sad one, because you understand the attacks on the military personnel in the Southeast has been an issue we've had to deal with, even when the leader has been in the custody of the DSS. To you, do you feel that stakeholders are not doing their best? We've also found out where they have questioned what the governors are doing in their respective state. How are they making sure that some of these issues are being decentralized? Because these are people that are having operations in their state. And then what happened to information gathering? What happened to some level of making some reports down to the federal government that there is a plan or there is a gathering of this nature? Do you feel that this is due to lack of concentration and cooperation of stakeholders in the Southeast that we are still having these rises of issue?
Thank you very much. I think it is high time the federal government declare the IPOB a terrorist organization in the country. Why? We cannot continue to have deaths of our soldiers in the Southeast because of this issue of sit at home that has been implemented and are continue to be implemented in the Southeast. The stakeholders in the Southeast, I would say, are culprits also. Why? Because this issue is a local issue and they should be able to understand the terrain much more better in order for the government to be able to implement what is needed and what is needful. It is pathetic that over the years, this issue is recurring and there is no lasting solution at sight. We can't continue to have the death of our military men over issues like the issues of the IPOB sit at home. It's a problem. Today, I can see that a 25 million ransom has been issued out by Governor Alex Otti just about a few minutes ago. But this still does not solve the problem that we have, which is a bigger problem than we currently have. It is the problem of a secessionist organization trying to sit away from the country. You know, so when we have this issue, when we have this problem, persistence, and we continue to lose the life of our military men, then the government has to sit down with the stakeholders, which they have continued to do. But in a way or the other, they've not been helping. They've not been helping the federal government to achieve its purpose. So I strongly think rather that the federal government needs to be responsible enough to be able to declare a state of emergency as far as IPOB is concerned, as far as sit at home is concerned in Southeast Nigeria, because the problem they've consulted, they've consolidated, and now we need to confront these terrorists, because they are terrorists to me. They are not just a secessionist organization. They're an organization that is threatening the democracy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and should not be taken with levity. Thank you.
I mean, one may begin to ask some questions, because the back and forth has been the fact that the civilians are the receiving end. We also understand that the military are also at the receiving end of this. The civilians are also at the receiving end. Do you feel that there's a more for out of the presidency? Because the federal government, for a good number of years, have held Nnamdi in custody, and it doesn't help the situation, because one was expecting the fact that if their leader is being held custody by government, there will be decentralization of these IPOB activities and all of that. But we're still finding that it's still a threat. Monday is a sit at home. This is also economically affecting businesses in the southeastern part of this country. Do you feel that there's a way Tinubu's administration can approach this matter away from how the Buhari's administration was trying to address these issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the Tinubu administration can approach the case much more logically. For me, I think the continued detention of the leader of the independent people of Biafra, which is Nnamdi Kanu, is unjust and unconstitutional. And I believe Nnamdi Kanu should be released by the federal government of Nigeria without no further delay. I mean, it is long overdue, because if we want to end a problem, we have to find a lasting solution. And one of those solutions is for us to release this man. And yes, I need to state that Nnamdi Kanu might not be the lasting solution to the problem, really, because over time he has released several statements. In fact, the latest one, which was I think earlier this year or late last year, was a written statement, which is on handwriting, giving an order for the halt of the sit-at-home procedure that we've had over time. But someone like the man in Finland, who calls himself the Lord General of the IPOB, has continued to give contradictory opinion to the order that will be given by Nnamdi Kanu in prison. So this tells us that it mirrors what would happen, or what might happen, what can happen if Nnamdi Kanu gets released from custody. What if this organization has already been hijacked from his arms, and it's not even longer in control, because even when he's in prison, he's actually a written statement. He's making statements in court that these people are not doing things in his own interest as a person. So it tells us that something is wrong somewhere, and we probably have an organization that has been hijacked already from even the leader of the movement. So this is another question that we need to answer before we can get a definite opinion if releasing him would also solve the problem. But yes, I think it is long overdue for him to be released. Thank you.
All right. I mean, another concern I've also had among these issues has been the political issue. I mean, they have been advocating for the Southeast presidency. Recall prior to the 2023 elections, People's Democratic Party, some stakeholders of the Southeast were advocating for the East to be granted, Southeast to be granted, to be given ticket of the presidential primaries election. And some advocacy from other parties as well, and even some of the stakeholders were advocating for this. And even persons who are not even from the Southeast were advocating that Southeast, they are ripe for the presidency. Talk about this deprivation. I mean, we also understand that it has to be how you are strong in the party. It happens that we are finding it very hard to give the southeastern part of this country the presidency. Do you feel that this is a default issue, or do you feel that this is a political issue, or do you feel that the design of Nigeria, already that we have in existence, would not in any way grant capacity to Southeast for him to produce a president? Which you know that this is also one of the concerns, and they're worried that since the creations of the country, they haven't allowed them to rule the country, and it seems they are not part and parcel of this country, which is also stirring some of them apart in believing in the dreams of Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, it is concerning that after almost 5 years of democracy, we do not have someone from the Southeast to have ruled Nigeria. It is very concerning. However, when you talk about the design of Nigeria, when you talk about the population density of Nigeria as a country, you realize that the Southeastern and Nigerians are handicapped. Yes, I can say this that they are handicapped. Why? Because the population number, the population of the Southeast does not give them the capacity to be able to dictate the tune of elections like what we have in the Southwest and what we have in the Northwest, for example. Now, what I would say is that I would turn in line with what Governor Soludo said before the 2020 general elections, that one of the problems that the Southeast has is the division in Southeast itself. Before the Southeast can produce a president in Nigeria, the Southeast has to come together as a section of Nigeria's democracy, because even the Southeast themselves is not together in unison. So we have to have a situation where the Southwest comes together to be unified. Only when we have a unified Southwestern Nigeria would we be able to get them to even dictate the tune of politicizing their ambition, collaborating with one arm of the geopolitical to be able to deliver themselves a president. So but at the moment, there is no unity in the Southeast because of a lot of political issues that's affecting them. So this gives them, or this puts them at a high disadvantage of becoming Nigeria's president. And I think the most important thing for them right now is to look at how they can call together their own house, work together, unify themselves together, then push out an agenda to be able to collaborate with other geopolitical zones across the country to deliver for them a president.
Let me get the word of their former leader, Ojukwu, when he was speaking about the unity of this country. This is his word. There is nothing wrong with Nigeria's unity, but it depends on the kind of unity. Not the unity of Jonah in the whale's belly, which didn't suit Jonah because he was in captivity. I mean, talk about the Nigeria's unity. We've been clamoring for unity, and even the move by the federal government to review the national anthem for us to go back to the old anthem has been the fact that some of the lyrics, of unifying this country wasn't really embedded on that anthem. So there is a need for, according to the presidency and those who are arguing in support of the old national anthem, talk about the unity of this country. I mean, every day it seems things get to tear us apart. I mean, when you look at political either appointment, or when you look at jobs and employment and locations in the country, when you look at several statistics of things that may actually give you some level of the fact that some persons are not treated equally in the country. How do we begin to unite? We have different, major religions, two major religions. We also have diverse of cultures, and traditional backgrounds and all of that. How do we begin to understand that it is by unity that some of these issues can be dealt with? Because the moment where a Northerner can't see a Southerner as a brother, it is an issue. That just unity is questionable right now. How do we begin to move to heal some of the wounds and get to unite some of this country? Because I feel that if this is well dealt with, if the unity of this country is being felt by the people of Southeast, I think some of those in support of the IPOB maybe begin to drop their arms and get to embrace Nigerians. I think that's personal for me, but I may think that's the way and the direction to go.
Very well. Thank you very much for that fantastic opinion. I mean, we are a unified country. Let me put it that way. We just do not have 100% unified Nigeria, and it's almost impossible for you to have a 100% unified nation anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, there will always be some persons who are against what we have or what the dream of a country is all about. And if you look at history, if you look at developed country that we have today, we can look at Korea, for example, South Korea, which is popularly called Korea today. Back then, with Seoul, with a lot of their developmental stage, where you had a lot of Confucianist scholars coming together to build, what we have as the modern day Seoul or South Korea today. You realize that there will always be some persons who are not in support of that dream that others want to have. And this is not a problem, absolutely, because their own contribution also forms much more development for the nation that we have. So why I said Nigeria is unified is because, have you gone to Alaba market before? Have you gone to Sabo market in Kaduna before? Have you been to Sabo in Oyo State before? You'll be able to see that truly Nigeria is unified. You have an Hausa man working for Chibo man, working for Yoruba man. You have people who are thieves. We have people who are, Ebira people working for someone from the South. This tells you that the true dream of a unified Nigeria is possible. However, we definitely will always have people who will always be against that unification. Do you understand? So, but however, as you asked, what more thing can we do to continue to unify Nigeria the more? I think part of it is to relieve ourselves of our greed and not allow ourselves to be used by politicians who continue to play over our intelligence as Nigerians and play over our sanity to thrive, or rather to achieve their own political aim. Do you understand? Because when you look at a lot of these issues of diversity that we've had in recent years, which can start stemming from 2022, the 2023 general elections, which have now even turned to a major ethnic fight in Nigeria between the Hausas, the Igbos, and the Yorubas, you can see that it has a political undertone. So Nigerian has to wake up to the reality that there are certain politicians who are benefiting from the problems that we are having. So we have to come together to understand that we cannot continue to allow politicians to use us for their own benefit. We cannot continue to allow politicians to make use of the true dream of Nigeria and continue to cause issues between us. This is greed on our part as Nigerians, and allowing ourselves and our intelligence to be played on by politicians. So I believe that when we relieve ourselves of the greed and we wake up from our slumbers of being used by politicians, Nigeria will become much more unified
All right, absolutely. I mean, many thanks, Fatih Hamid, journalist with the Punch newspaper, for lending your voice and the contributions to the program. We'll get to connect you shortly as we get to make more discussions of the program. Justice Peter Alifiu of Abuja Federal High Court today granted Choma Okobi bail in the sum of 5 million and 2 sureties in the like sum. The judge held that one of the sureties must be a defendant's spouse or a blood relative with a variable source of income who resides within the jurisdictions of the court. The judge also ordered the sureties to deposit a passport photograph each, instructed the defendants to also deposit our international passport, if any. This will be an issue we'll be taking a look at shortly after this break. Do stay with us. Was the top discussion on the program. The Dex earlier we informed you about the New York jury, which has Donald Trump been found guilty on the 34 felony count of falsifying business records as the first time a former United States president has been convicted of a crime. So we, of course, are getting to keep our eyes on that development, and of course we'll bring you more stories and reactions coming from that a particular story from Donald Trump. This has also been a very big concern in the international scene because this is the first time a former president to be convicted on the criminal charges in the United States history and will be sentenced in the month of July, shortly one month away from now. And of course, President Bola Tinubu has called on state government to prioritize the needs of local communities by ensuring accountability and effectiveness in the administration of local government administration. He spoke this when he was meeting with the leadership of Arewa Consultative Forum at the presidential villa in Abuja. We also informed you that the armed forces of Nigeria has mourned the death of 5 personnel operations who were killed in an action by terrorists of IPOB while on deployment at the Obi-Kalabia Junction checkpoint in Obingwa local government area of Abia State. This has also been a concern, the fact that a soldier loss in battle is a terrible loss, and we also want a situation where some of these IPOB crises will be well addressed. My guest was advocating for the fact that there's a need to declare state of emergency on this on IPOB. I mean, the southeast part of this country, and also declared those behind some of these perpetrators to build. But even the leader is in custody of DSS, and you're still finding some of these issues being carried out. So we just want a situation where IPOB and all the crises in the southeast will be well managed and addressed properly, so as not to have the surface of these crises again. Because 6 civilians were also killed in the crossfire incidences. So we just want a situation where all of these will be arrested. And Justice Peter Lifu of Abuja Federal High Court have granted Chioma Okoli bail. This has also been an issue crisis where Chioma, according to the lawyer, defended asked for a bail in the court, and he has been granted with 5 million naira and 2 shorties in a like sum. This has been the judgment today coming in regarding the critics that Chioma was criticizing the Rico's tomato. I mean, some of the bad review, the Rico's management didn't take it lightly, and it was taken to court. So the case has been adjourned to later next month, where we'll be following some development story that will be coming in the bid to get the discussions on that. And of course, that will be the size of the Dex Young Global Televisions, where we've been at highlight of the week and giving you the big story over the course of the day. Our 6 p.m. bulletin will be coming shortly, and of course, bringing you to speed the news you need to know at your very fingertips. Do stay with us on Global Television. My name is Edikan Michael. Thanks for joining us on the Dex today.